Now we have derivative properties established for all the different types of functions we're going to be dealing with in this class. Power functions, exponential functions, log functions. So in Module 6.2 and then 6.3 after this, what we want to start doing is looking at more complex functions. So in particular, when we have the product of two functions, the quotient of two functions, how we take those types of derivatives. Before we jump into that, let's start off with a little bit of review. A previous property that we established back in Module 3.1. There was a list of properties of limits, and this was property number 6. That property said that if we take the limit as x approaches c of the product of two functions, that limit would be equal to the limit of the first function times the limit, that didn't turn out very well, the limit of the second function. So, two functions, we just split the limit to each of those individual factors, take the limit of the first function times the limit of the second function. What we want to be very clear on at this point is that this same approach absolutely does not work for differentiating products. So another way to say that would be that the derivative of f of x times g of x is absolutely not equal to the derivative of the first function times the derivative of the second function. This is, in math and calculus, there are a lot of different places that people can make mistakes, but this is one of the most common ones that happens in business calculus for math science majors. People see a function that's the product of two functions. They differentiate it by just differentiating the first function, differentiating the second function, multiplying those two together. But unfortunately, it's not quite that simple. Instead, what we need to make sure we utilize, whenever we have the product of two functions, we need to make use of the product rule. So the product rule for y equals f of x times g of x. So if we have the product of two functions, then dy over dx, or the derivative of this expression y with respect to x, is going to be f of x times g of x plus f of x times g of x. So we're going to add a little bit more to that, but I like to write this out in this pattern. So it's just first function times the second function plus the first function times the second function, so that exact same expression repeated. And then all that changes is in our first term, we take the derivative of the first function. And then in our second term, we take the derivative of the second function. So what we end up with is the derivative of the first function times the second function, plus the first function times the derivative of the second function. But again, to help with memorizing that, it's just the first function times the second, plus the first function times the second. In the first term, you're differentiating the first function. In the second term, you're differentiating the second function.